Today, our Group 2 will review a 1993 science fiction movie called Jurassic Park 1, focusing on 3 different aspects, including synopsis of the movie, theory or principle of the molecular biology incorporated in the movie, and misconception of fictional elements of the theory or principles.
There it is. Welcome to Jurassic Park. We've made living biological attractions so astounding that they'll capture the imagination of the entire planet.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time
How'd you do this?
becomes the greatest adventure of all time.
Can I touch it?
Sure.
Universal Pictures presents
You feel that?
Hold on to your butts.
a Steven Spielberg film,
This is the feeling all over the park. Yeah, that's nice. Gotta go.
an adventure
I can't get Jurassic Park back online.
65 million years in the making. Jurassic Park.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Syafrazin bin Muhammad Zain. My metric number is J220A233. Today I'm gonna review a movie that title is Jurassic Park. Synopsis for this movie, Jurassic Park 1, 1993. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. Jurassic Park 1 is a groundbreaking science fiction adventure film that bring dinosaurs back to life with some theories and consequences. The story begins when the miners find the ancient fossil of the mosquito that lived 1 million years ago that has a blood of dinosaur in it. Then someone is the billionaire and visionary man John Hammond who create an ambitious wildlife park on a remote island at Isla Nublar. The park is populated with living dinosaurs which is brought to life through cutting-edge genetic engineering. John Hammond invites a group of experts to inspect the park safety, which is a paleontologist, Dr. Alan Graham, paleobotanist, Dr. Ellie Sattler, and chaos theorist, Dr. Ian Malcolm. They are joined by two Hammond's grandchildren, Lex and Tim Murphy. While the park wonders first astound the theorists, a disgruntled employee named Dennis Nerdy sabotaged the park system in order to steal dinosaur embryos, causing a calamity in the park. The dinosaurs, including ferocious Tyrannosaurus and crafty Velociraptors, are set loose when the ensuing power failure renders the park security inoperable. In order to live, the tourists must make their way through the non-dangerous park using their bravery and inventiveness in the face potentially fatal circumstances. The exciting story is supported by themes of human arrogance, the unpredictable nature of nature, and the moral ramification of scientific discovery. With its innovative special effect, gripping narrative, and memorable scenes, Jurassic Park refined the blockbuster entertainment and become cinematic masterpiece.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurmazat Balkis. My metric number is J22A0060. So for my part, I'm going to explain about the theory or principle of molecular biology that can be found in the Jurassic Park 1 movie. So the first one is DNA as a blueprint of life. The concept is that DNA carries all the instruction needed to build and maintain a living organism. Therefore, by recovering and decoding dinosaur DNA, scientists can resurrect these ancient creatures as the DNA hold all the information needed to recreate their physical and behavior traits. So in the movie, the scientists use the theory of DNA extraction and sequencing, where it begins with the idea that the dinosaur DNA can be retrieved from ancient specimens. The source of DNA that they use is from mosquito blood that were trapped in tree resin that they later found fossil into amber after millions of years. So this principle here is that DNA, being a relatively stable molecule that can persist over time under certain conditions such as being sealed in an oxygen-free and moisture-free environment. The second theory that can be found in the Jurassic Park 1 movie is the genetic reconstruction and cloning technology. This happened when once the DNA is extracted, the next challenge that need to be focused on is its incompleteness due to degradation over millions of years. Because it is a DNA that came from millions of years, there will be gaps in the dinosaur DNA sequence. So the gaps in the dinosaur DNA sequence are filled using DNA from modern species. So in this movie, they use frogs. This principle from the idea of comparative genomics, where the genomes of related organisms are analyzed to fill in the missing information in the DNA. This aligns with real-world genetic engineering technique, which often involve combining DNA from multiple organisms to achieve specific outcomes. For the cloning in Jurassic Park science, the idea is that once a complete genome is reconstructed, it can be inserted into an egg cell to create a living organism. So this principle, it mirrors a real-world cloning technique such as somatic, which is cell nuclear transfer, SCNT, which is famously used to clone Dolly the sheep in 1996. So this movie, it extrapolates this process to dinosaurs, suggesting that reconstructed dinosaurs' DNA can be used to create embryos that develop into living dinosaurs.
Other than that, one of the theory in the movie is all dinosaurs in the ambitious park are intention to create an all-female dinosaur population by using the frog DNA that can lead to dinosaur ability to change sex and reproduce, because the scientists wanted to control the population and the numbers of dinosaurs that were born and placed in a certain enclosure. But at the same time, Dr. Allen found the wild dinosaur eggs in the captivity These consequences may lead to the mutation in the gene DNA that allows some dinosaurs to change their sex in order to live as a natural law. Dr. Ian Malcolm has told us about the chaos theory and the unpredictable of life evolutionary principle, which is life will find a way to adapt and survive in the natural environment. Besides that, cloning is a major theme in the movie because dinosaurs are recreated by replicating their DNA using the blood sample from the mosquito. This can be lead to produce an organism with the same DNA sequences as a donor organism, but the cloned organism is a genetic replica but may not be identical and in appearance or behavior due to environmental factors. This may lead even one of the blood sample from a mosquito to produce many types of dinosaur by adding a missing gap in gene DNA or full replica of the dinosaur, but the differentiate and appearance of the dinosaur.
Hello everyone, my name is Sudok Yangi with matrix number J228037. Today, Nisa and I will continue our presentation with the misconception of this movie Jurassic Park 1. In the movie Jurassic Park 1, Mr. DNA, the animated character, explained in details how the scientists use fossilized DNA from mosquito trapped in amber to clone dinosaurs.
Right, here he comes. Oh, here I go. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, John.
Oh, yes. I've got lines here.
Well, fine, I guess. But how did I get here?
Well, let me show you. First, I need a drop of blood. Your blood.
Right. Oh, John, that hurts.
Relax, John. It's all part of the miracle of cloning.
Hello, John. Hello, John. Hello.
Hello, John. From what?
Hello.
Life extractions never recreated an intact DNA strand.
Not without master sequence count.
Good afternoon, John.
DNA from what source? Where do you get 100 million-year-old dinosaur blood? Shh.
What? Oh, Mr. DNA, where did you come from?
From your blood. Just one drop of your blood contains billions of strands of DNA, the building blocks of life. A DNA strand, like me, is a blueprint for building a living thing. And sometimes animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like dinosaurs, left their blueprints behind for us to find. We just had to know where to look. 100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes, just like today. And just like today, they fed on the blood of animals, even dinosaurs. Sometimes, after biting a dinosaur, the mosquito would land on the branch of a tree and get stuck in the sap. After a long time, the tree sap would get hard and become fossilized, just like a dinosaur bone, preserving the mosquito inside. This fossilized tree sap, which we call amber, waited for millions of years with the mosquito inside, until Jurassic Park scientists came along. Using sophisticated techniques, they extract the preserved blood from the mosquito and, bingo, dino DNA. A full DNA strand contains 3 billion genetic codes. If we look at screens like these once a second for 8 hours a day, it'd take 2 years to look at the entire DNA strand. It's that long. Whoa. Now that's where our geneticists take over. Thinking machines, supercomputers, and gene sequencers break down the strand in minutes. And virtual reality displays show our geneticists the gaps in the DNA sequence. We use the complete DNA of a frog to fill in the holes and complete the code. And now we can make a baby dinosaur.
This score is only temporary. It all has very dramatic music, of course. Well, marches, haven't been written yet. And then, of course, they tone those up.
Mr. DNA had explained that mosquitoes that feed on blood land on trees and get stuck in the tree sap, which hardened over time and fossilized. After 100 million years, the fossils were found and the scientists extract blood residue containing dinosaur DNA from the mosquito in order to sequence their genome by draining a hole in the amber towards the abdomen of the mosquito. Then the scientists use the DNA and sequence it by using living relative organisms such as frog to complete the set because the recovered dinosaur DNA is incomplete. Once the dinosaur DNA is complete, the scientists insert it into a host egg, which is referred to as an ostrich egg, to create a dinosaur. Then the eggs are watched over and kept in optimum condition until they are ready for the nursery. However, there are 2 misconceptions that highlight the differences between science fiction and scientific reality, in which are DNA extraction from amber and filling DNA gaps with other living relative species DNA. At the beginning of the movie Jurassic Park 1, a mine worker finds a perfect amber encased specimen, the 100 million year old amber-bound mosquito, which is later used for the purpose of DNA extraction and cloning dinosaur. However, retrieving and repairing the ancient dinosaur DNA obtained from an amber-bound mosquito is impossible due to the limitation of DNA preservation. In Jurassic Park 1, scientists believe that the amber-bound ancient mosquito feed on dinosaur blood and could preserve the DNA or gene fragment perfectly in the amber. However, in scientific reality, the amber-bound mosquito in the movie is referred to as the toxorynchidae, also called as the elephant mosquito, in which it is a giant day-flying mosquito that does not consume blood, but feed on sugary substances such as flower nectar, plant sap, fruit, and other plant materials. Even if the ancient mosquito feed on blood and the blood residue was preserved, the DNA molecule might be highly degraded and contaminated after 100 million years. DNA is a molecule with a double helix structure that contains important genetic information for the development and functioning of an organism, and it can be stored for potentially millions of years under optimal conditions by using proper preservation technique, in which dinosaur DNA from the ancient mosquito in the amber will be degraded over time due to the environmental factors such as sunlight, microbial activity, heat, and humidity. This is due to the fact that the amber only preserves the body of the ancient mosquito, but it does not able to protect and preserve the DNA molecules. Therefore, it is impossible to extract DNA from an ancient mosquito in amber. Additionally, Jurassic Park 1 demonstrated that the process of cloning dinosaurs is a simple and straightforward process once the scientists can extract the DNA from the blood residue in the amber-bound mosquito and retrieve it. However, the process of reconstructing an entire genome that contains billions of base pair in a precise sequence is nearly impossible. Furthermore, more advanced technology and deep knowledge of the cellular and developmental environment of dinosaurs are required for the cloning of the dinosaurs using ancient DNA sample.
Hello, I'm Nunisa Amni Binti Chinaze and my metric number is J22A0029. For my part, I'll be explaining about the misconception of this movie, is Jurassic Park 1993. I'll be explaining about misconception number 2, which is filling DNA gaps with other species DNA. Even with insects and mosquitoes' blood was completely reserved, large amounts of dinosaur DNA are still likely missing. Hence, DNA from other species is needed to complete the coding process. In this movie, Henry Wu, Hammond's primary geneticist, filled in the gaps with DNA from other creatures, which was frog DNA. To be cloned successfully, the dinosaur DNA must be accurate and empty of sequence gaps. Frog DNA provided a quick and simple solution to the dinosaur's genetic sequence. The film simply used the frog's DNA to explain how certain dinosaurs could change sex. Dr. Wu says that all the dinosaurs have the genetic ability to be female, making reproduction impossible. When Dr. Grant discovered the eggs, he mentioned that some West African frogs may change sex in a single-sex environment. Scientists gave dinosaurs the ability to change sex and therefore mate by combining a frog's genetic code with dinosaur DNA. In this movie, Jurassic Park 1993, there are several misconceptions that portrayed, which are genetically engineered dinosaur DNA combined with the frog DNA to create an extinct reptile. In Jurassic Park, they say they discovered fragmented DNA. They determined where the gaps were and filled them with the frog DNA. However, we couldn't determine where the gaps were until we had the full genome. Without the entire genome, it will be difficult to know which parts of the DNA had been identified, making it impossible to fill in the gaps and create a fully functional animal, which is the dinosaurs. However, if we knew the full genome and wanted to fill in the gaps with fragments, we would not choose frogs since they are amphibians. And if we're going to do it, we would use bird DNA since birds are dinosaurs. We might also utilize crocodile DNA because of the common ancestor. Furthermore, the DNA will degrade over time. Dinosaurs became extinct around 66 million years ago. And it is highly unlikely that any dinosaur's DNA exists today, because dinosaurs' bones can survive for millions of years. But dinosaur DNA almost definitely cannot.